Hey everybody, it's effectively June and it's beautiful out, and I thought I haven't done a video by my tree for a while. I think I'll go do that. And actually my tree's about 30 yards that way, and there's a young couple that's tied a hammock to it, and I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're both in it together. Anyway, I thought I'd take this bit and do a video about all of these football predictions that are going to be coming up over the next couple months, and all of the doing a top 25. And this is kind of a behind the scenes look at how that thought process works. So it's like you're at a play and the main character, or one of the main characters, steps to the sides and starts to talk to the audience. I think they call it breaking the fourth wall or some damn thing. And then none of the other actors know he's having this conversation with the audience. So it's a way to look behind the scenes of what's going on. And that's what this video is about when it comes to, well, let's start with top 25. Like, how do you put a top 25 together? First of all, the reason why you do preseason rankings is, number one, it generates content, it generates conversation. And for people who are casual football fans who aren't going to watch this video because they don't look at football things in June, it's a chance for them to look at the rankings and go, hey, look at that, and number 1 versus number 3, I think I'll watch this game, when they don't really know that much about college football. So that's the reason why you do preseason top 25 rankings, or why you've always done them as media people. Now, when it comes to actually putting together a top 25, 1 through 5 are honestly pretty easy, because you just pick the teams from last year that were really good. They're probably going to be good again. Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, USC, maybe Oklahoma. You just throw them in the top 5, and that's your top 5. And it's just whatever order. My personal belief is you're a national champion until you're beaten, and then you're not number 1 anymore. So Georgia would be number 1. That's pretty easy. 6 through 10, here's your chance to get a little creative. What you want to do there, or what I usually do, is you throw a team in there that really ticks people off, like Texas. People always go, why is Texas ranked in the preseason top blah, blah, blah every year? Well, because it irritates people and they discuss it. Florida State was another one. Nebraska used to do that, and then we've sucked for so many years. I have no idea why anybody'd rank us in anything. But, the top 10 is generally not that difficult. But when you start getting into 11 through 15, and then really 15 through 25, if you're doing a top 25, it really starts becoming a shit show. You can kind of pick out, your 11 through 15 are going to be like the top finishers in other conferences besides the Big 5, maybe. I was going to say TCU, but they're in the Big 12. Is that a Power 5 conference still? I'm confused. Anyway, but when you get through 15 to 20, it's just a shit show. You can throw anybody in there. There's 30 teams that qualify to be in the top 15 to 25 teams. And people get really upset about it. And this generates, of course, content and views, and people buy newspapers in the old days to do that stuff. But that's how you put a top 25 together. And people, unless they do it themselves, and this maybe is like a homework thing for you guys to think about doing this off season, or this season, is to put together a top 25 and try to maintain it throughout the year. And you'll find that it's really harder than you think to act, unless you just throw 15 to 25, you're just throwing spaghetti at a wall and see what hits. There's bugs out. It must be spring or something. But that's the trick. One of the things I would like to do is I would like to start a people's poll. And maybe put up a big Excel spreadsheet, a Google sheet, some kind of form. People could vote. Anybody could vote. It'd be like the people's poll. My problem with this is, because of my brain injury, I'm not very good with data anymore, and I'm not very good at calculating things. So I would need some help in setting that up. But it could be kind of interesting. Plus, it gives you all the chance to actually do that homework of putting together a top 25 and maintaining it throughout the season, which you would find is a lot more work, or a lot more difficult than you previously thought. Unless you do, just like I do when I do my college March Madness practice, you just pick teams and throw them out there. And don't spend a lot of time on it. Predictions. We're going to see a lot of prediction videos coming out, and then prediction articles coming out in the next few weeks. And here's the thought process behind how you actually do predictions. Number one, if you're realistically doing predictions, and you're like me, I'm mostly a Nebraska channel. I talk about it. All of college football should be my open field to play in, but mostly, I mean, we're Nebraska, right? So we're going to use Nebraska as an example. Realistically, I mean, really objectively, can you really predict with an open mind that Nebraska is going to beat Minnesota in the first game of the season? Because if I'm honest, I can't. Because in the past few years when Nebraska and Minnesota have played, Minnesota has beat the hell out of my beloved Cornhuskers. They have. Maybe not on the scoreboard. They haven't beat us by like 30, like Ohio State does to teams. But they beat us up on the field. They have manhandled us. They physicaled us to death. And until you see a Nebraska team that can withstand that and put up with 30 times and run a nickel duo right at you, until you see an offensive line that can handle Minnesota's defense, I don't know how you can realistically predict that Minnesota's going to lose to Nebraska. Now, when it comes to the season, however, when we come closer to August, I sound like a real rational, probably calm human being now, but when August hits and football starts to become more real, then the delusional parts hit. I start drinking the Kool-Aid, and then I'm probably going to look at it. And if I do an official prediction, I will predict Minnesota to beat Nebraska. Why? Because it really turns my stomach at the fact that Minnesota might beat Nebraska again, and I don't want to do that. The second reason why is because people hate you. They hate you when you don't predict their team to win. If you're supposed to be a Nebraska guy, like I'm a Nebraska guy, and you don't pick the Nebraska to win, there's a lot of people that just hate your guts for it. I'm not making that up. They expect you to maybe go, yeah, I'm objective, and here's where the team is, and we're going to be 10-2. And it's kind of fun doing that. But if you're doing it realistically for people to actually have some credibility and faith in you and not just for fun, again, do you really see Nebraska beating a Minnesota or beating an Illinois, another team that's going to be very physical? Or, well, any physical team on our schedule for 2023. Until you see a Nebraska football team that comes out and plays physical, it's really hard to predict that they're going to be physical. You can rationalize it. People do. They do it all day long. Well, we have a new coach. That was under the other guy. It was very dysfunctional. Well, this team will be much different. Look at these transfer portal guys. Those guys I got from Georgia, they know how to win, and they'll infect the rest of the team with winning attitudes. All that kind of stuff. And we have a different quarterback, a different offensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator might actually know how to coordinate a defense, that kind of stuff. But it really comes down to what's going to happen on the field. And I know we don't like P.J. Fleck as much, but the guy, his coach, he knows what he wants to do. He wants to pound on you. He wants to get a lead and then maintain the lead. And that's probably going to be true for teams like Illinois. Northwestern, the first game of the season last year, they ran the ball at us 18 times in a row, and we didn't do a damn thing about it. We lost. Most of those players are still on this team. So until they show that they can be physical, it will be realistically hard to predict us to win a lot of physical games. And I hope that changes. I really do. But this is a video, I thought I'd get out here in the beautiful, beautiful weather. It's kind of my tree. My tree is still standing over there. Being a voyeur. And say hello. And I hope you're doing well. And I hope, I hope? I hope you go out fishing. I'm going to hope to go out fishing in a little bit. I hope you're going out fishing. Hope you're going out in the sun. Hope you're having fun with summer. And football really isn't that far away. And we're hoping for a damn good season at Nebraska. And think about it. When Scott Frost just a few years ago, I'm trying to end this thing and I'm not. When Scott Frost just a few years ago came to Nebraska, Nebraska got really high rankings because people had expectations for him. Nobody ranks us now. Nobody ranks Nebraska. Nobody should rank Nebraska. Even Nebraska fans should not have the expectation of being ranked because that's just a little too far-fetched when you look at those teams I said you put in the top 25 because it irritates people and they talk about your content. Yeah, there's no Nebraska ranking there anymore. Until we start showing things, until we start proving things. Yeah, okay. that's it for now. I hope you're all having fun, and like I said, get out in the summer, get outside, go fishing, go jogging, go have sex in a hammock, maybe. Go Big Red.